Welcome to The Vinyl Underground, presented by Crowd Control. This is Behind the Decks, your backstage pass to North Carolina's emerging electronic music scene. We're bringing you raw conversations, killer beats, and the untold stories of DJs shaping the underground. Plug in, vibe out, let's go.
Welcome, party people, back to the Vinyl Underground podcast, where beats meet community. I'm your host, Tony Technique, here with my main man.
Hey, guys.
My boy, my brother from another mother.
Yeah, I fuck with him too.
Tim Penna. And today we have a very special guest coming all the way, based out of Durham, North Carolina. Tim, who do we have today?
We got a legend, Adam Graetz, known him for about a decade, and
Facesblur.
He's such a stud in every capacity, a real artist and engineer and amazing guy.
He's an amazing guy. He has amazing digital arts and some awesome production that he's done, which just recently with his Elemental EP.
Yes.
He's been doing some stuff around town, around Durham, based in Durham usually. He does a 919, the floor 919 out in Durham.
Yep.
And, we're going to show Durham some love tonight.
Damn right.
And
Durham,
welcome Adam to the show.
Thank you for existing.
Yep.
So much talent, including this legend.
Definitely. And hope you guys enjoy. Welcome, Adam, to the show. Adam Graetz of facesblur, coming here all the way from Durham, North Carolina, where he's based out of. This is glad to have you, and we've been following you and your art and your parties that you've been doing recently. And let's get into who is Adam.
Thank you so much. Really happy to be here.
Welcome,
and appreciate you guys taking the time to.
Of course,
it's an honor to have you.
Of course, man. Yeah, I mean, we've, and I've seen you around town way more. I don't know, maybe a couple of years now, I think.
For sure.
And bumping into you in our little circle and whatnot. And but it's just recently in which I really started learning about what you've been doing and your music you've been putting out. How long you've been doing music and all that?
I mean, all of it. Let's see. So I consider myself kind of a multidisciplinary artist. So I work in a lot of different ranges and areas. So visuals was sort of my first love in a lot of ways. But I've been a musician my whole life in a lot of ways. I grew up doing classical guitar, metal guitar, jazz guitar.
Wow. From
a young age, like 8, 9 probably.
Really?
For a long time. And then probably around 2007 or 8, I got into electronic music production. And was really getting into that with like Reason and Logic, early tools, like old school.
Yes.
So doing that for a long time, up and through the early aughts or late aughts, I guess. And then really once I got into sort of the club scene type world, house music and all that, really took off making club tracks and dance tracks and things like that. But I've got a long history of just, playing different instruments, playing in bands, things like that. A little saxophone here or there, and some funny middle school band moments. Just being kind of a nerd,
Right.
But visuals are also always my true love. I studied graphic design at Arts Magnet School back in high school in Greensboro.
Oh, wow.
Did like AP portfolios, things like that. Was learning the Adobe suite in like 9th grade, pretty much, and learned mastered Photoshop and Design Illustrator.
Before they had the lasso tool.
Yeah, exactly. Way back. I was like, we're talking like CS2, like Adobe CS2, like early days. So great times. But yeah, I've always kind of done like a lot of different types of art in a lot of ways. I was a photographer for a long time, did a lot of videography, was making short films, experimental films, documentary work. When I went to UNC, I was on the staff for the daily paper there, filming photojournalist stuff, short video pieces and vignettes. So I've kind of lived a few different lives in a lot of ways of different periods of time. I was a graffiti writer for a long time. Back from like 03 to 08 or 2010-ish.
Really?
done that for a long time, riding trains, painting trains, stuff like that. But that was all back Greensboro days, back in the day when I would kind of be rough and tough around the Greensboro parts.
That's awesome.
It was like, riding bikes around, fixed gear bikes, like punk scene, stuff like that.
Nice.
Anarchist, punk house shows, stuff like that. So
That's cool, though.
But I grew up in the metal and punk scene. It was kind of my original upbringing around that time, and then grew into other areas over time. But
kind of evolved.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a lot. I just threw a lot at you.
No, that's a hobbies.
I could go on and on.
Yeah, and that's that's funny because it just gives us a perspective of your journey and how you got to where you got to, right? So you mentioned a lot of these different elements in which you've gone into, making music, down with the metal scene and all that. And I have, I don't know about you. I know when I was in high school, I had some really cool metalhead friends and metal bands. So those guys are always cool with me. You know what I'm saying? Graffiti and writing that. So I can see where your progression went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting journey.
And to music producing and now DJing.
Pretty much.
Tell me about the DJing, bro.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. It seemed like almost the logical conclusion of a lot of the things I'd been working on in my life up to that point. And I think throughout high school and into college, going from Greensboro to Chapel Hill, going to UNC, I was always a big lover of like the mix CD, the mixtape, curating and creating songs and playlists for my friends and people I loved. Curation was always a big thing for me.
Right.
And so I basically, around 2016, decided like, why can't I just take this curation thing, marry it with the technical element, and start mixing the tracks I love and playing them for people in a different fashion. So instead of making playlists, making, burning CDs, making mixtapes, things like that. It was like, man, RIP. I was like, why can't I just do this live and have fun with it? And so around the similar time, I'd kind of gotten into house, techno, stuff like that, and was like, let's get the 4 on the floor chance, And so 2016 kind of picked that up and ran with it for a while. And prior to that, I was doing, basically in the club scene, doing lighting, visuals, projection mapping, VJing, stuff like that, or quote unquote VJing is what we would call it. Like,
right.
And so that's kind of how I got the introduction to a lot of the shows and club world and stuff like that, was through the lighting and visual stuff.
Sure.
And then linking up with people in the crew, The Floor in Durham, I was basically the lighting video guy for a couple of years. And they used to call it Shut Up and Dance, was the name of that party before it became The Floor. And then eventually those folks kind of brought me under their wing and were like, you can DJ with us and have a good time. So like shout out Morgan, Renee, Mike, Jen. These are some old folks back in the day that's
throwing that party.
And I basically linked with them, was doing all the visuals and projection stuff like that. And then some of them started to like bow out of the scene a little bit, and they sort of passed the torch. And then around that time, Marshall Jones joined up with us.
Right.
And so he got in the crew, and he and I kind of took the torch from those folks, Morgan, Renee, and those guys. And they kind of bowed out and were doing some more family stuff. Yeah. And we kind of carried the torch for the Floor.
Shout out to Marshall. He's going to be coming on in 2 weeks, actually.
Nice. Excellent.
True OG in the scene, man.
Just saw him last weekend over at the Kinetic Audio, and he did his thing.
Excellent.
The sound, we were just talking about, you're speaking of production and the music you play has a lot of that progressive type sound sometimes, and really nice house type music and stuff like that, and then different styles. I know you have quite a variety of stuff.
It's a range, and I think that can be a liability for some promoters or other people when they try to book me or try to bring me on. Some folks I've heard varying levels of critique about some of that, where they're like, I don't know what I'm going to get when I book you, or I don't know what I'm going to get when I come to see you. And I think that's a positive and a negative in a lot of ways. Like, I enjoy having range.
They ain't done their homework.
But I think being having some predictability factor, I agree. It's like,
it's like, don't be lazy, man. Like, you can be good at a lot of shit, but I get it too, right? I mean,
of course. And I mean, open format. I mean, if it's open format, of course, I like open format personally, man. Because you can get surprised of what you're gonna get next and whatnot. And also like knowing what I'm gonna expect. But usually, for open format, I have more interest into. You know what I mean?
I never thought I would be sort of open format in some ways, or like being very genre. What's the term? Genre agnostic in a lot of ways. But I'd like to view it in some ways of like, I define a certain range that I operate in. So it's not like I'm going to go like full D&B or like play hard dubstep or something in like a house shit. Like there's a just certain range or a factor of respectability where like I operate within. But there's still like a spectrum of flavors that I like to offer. Yeah. And I try not to go too far out of that. But a lot of it's like, lately for me at least, it's like deep house, tech house, techno, garage, breakbeat, electro, that kind of stuff. Usually operating in the like 115 to like 135 range, and that being up in that garage realm, of like the 130s. But I do have a interesting long history enjoying 140 type stuff. I wouldn't say I go like straight American dubstep. I'm more in the tradition of like the early UK dubstep sound. Benga, Caspa, like the OGs, that stuff. And I really admire and respect and love that kind of stuff.
As well.
Like the taste, I call it tasteful bass.
Yeah,
taste bass.
correct.
It's like,
I call it not mainstream shit.
Right, exactly.
But, sorry, guys.
I mean, pretty much. It's like I call the American stuff the bro. That's the bro step. That's the rhythms of the world. And like, no shade if like that's what you're into. I want people to enjoy what they want. I'm not here to like be a genre police.
Of course.
But I don't want to hear that cutoff filter going above and getting that plasticky, this like wow, just like insane sound. Like I want a subdued, tasteful, chilled out kind of dub sound. So anyway,
elevate others' IQ too, because it's kind of like you have a pulse on, but it's like here's a little extra something that maybe might help, aid, enlighten. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a classic type of sound. I mean, it's you know, you can get lost in a lot of the excuse me these soundscapes nowadays. You know, but definitely heard you. One of the sets I heard you play at was at the Fruit with Hiroko.
Oh yeah, with Lex.
With Lex, Lex on the show. Shout out to Lex. And you guys were just throwing down. I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, can we just keep them on for another like hour because it was just.
Was that all a well prepped?
We were locked in. I mean, it was all improv. I mean,
that's amazing. Good for you.
I mean, I basically freestyle every set. I didn't know
prep.
Yeah, I don't prep at all, really. I mean, I'll like usually pick a ballpark of things I kind of want to play, and I'll probably make like a general playlist of like, oh, here's 50 songs that fit a certain mood.
Sure.
It's like pre-curated a little bit, but there's no ordering to it at all.
Right.
It's all fully off the fly, off the cuff. Just
you gotta
like
be sharp.
Follow the crowd and like follow your heart kind of thing. So really no kind of overarching plan, but that was one of my favorite sets I played in a hot minute. Like I feel like we really locked in. That was our first public B2B. We'd played a couple afters together and like never played too much like in front of people.
Right.
So it was really kind of magical and unique in a lot of ways.
And you guys just like have magic together sometimes. I mean, you know, I think she really enjoys and looks forward to playing it back to back with you because I've heard her.
She speaks very highly of you. You guys already know, but it was just nice to hear praise from another awesome.
It's a mutual feeling. I mean, she's one of my favorite DJs in the area.
Person.
She's definitely like, and she's a good person and a good friend.
And a good person.
Exactly.
I was going to ask, is that available? Like I follow you on SoundCloud and, you know, but is that set? Is it there or is it, where can I find it? Or we find it?
So it's currently unressed, but I have
B2B.
Well, I have heard rumblings that there might be a release coming out from the promoters of that show.
Okay, cool.
They're cooking up something there, so stay tuned. I think it will be released in probably the coming months, maybe.
If you're saying it with that much pride and not, you know, one of your favorites, then I need to check that out.
No, I'm really excited about it because that was a great set. But we definitely went hard as hell. I mean, it was like gloves off. Well, it was funny. So the person before us, who's also a great techno DJ, he left us off at like, oh yeah, here 135, have fun. Oh shit! And we're like, great, this is awesome. We're like, wait, well now it's time to like, because we kind of had some plan to do a little more minimal or atmospheric to kind of like cool the room down a little. It's like part of our kind of idea going into it. We're like, well, no more of that. Let's just hit the gas and kind of went for it. And a lot of that hypnotic, a little more industrial, like faster techno stuff. I threw in some electro breakbeat stuff, which I love to do. Is like kind of my thing that I enjoy. Is like you can only get 4 on the floor at 130 plus for so long before the speed fatigue sets in.
Yes.
And so I enjoy to like throw it off with a breakbeat or a halftime or something to get that syncopation and to break people out of their bodies, you know. But only like 2 or 3 tracks in an hour. Like, you don't need to overdo it.
Right.
But I'll venture off into breakbeat world, give them a little of that, and then come back. And then go back again, and it just keeps it fresh, you know.
Keeps it,
but that's my favorite thing to do, honestly. Is like I love bouncing between 4 on the floor and halftime or breakbeat, but give the kick a break.
Yes.
It's like no one does. I know it's less common, I think, lately from what I've seen in the area. At least.
The reward hits better too, I think, when in small doses.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you need
actually,
tension.
I've taken that strategy in just one of my last mix events when I played for Kinetic Audio. Has that 4 to 4, you know, techno was bringing it up to like started at like 143 or something like that, and just kept bringing it down to like 135. Then I hit him with an electro, and just like. You know, it was just...
He was... Nice can I brag on you? I know that was great. I see her, my partner, and I brought some different friends from Asheville and some other folks that don't make it out. They're just not part of the scene as much, and everybody's like, that guy was my favorite. So,
yeah. So
nicely done, Stud.
Thank you. Yeah,
is that set coming out? Is that out for available here?
It's on SoundCloud. They put on that Kinetic Audio.
Okay, check it out. Because I did hear I heard from other folks unrelated to here that was an amazing set too. So I've heard good things. So I'm excited to check it out. That was was that the Crawl Space show?
Crawl Space.
Yes.
Okay, great. Because I played that one back in February with them.
Yeah,
it's a cool series.
It was the first one, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah, like me and Ed and some other folks. So
that's right. And I heard that you was just like taking it here, there, everywhere.
I was all over the place. And that set's posted, and that's one of those like, ooh, I really ran the gamut on that one. So it's like
we trust your journeys though.
Yeah, and I think that was the idea of kind of Crawl Space, kind of just like fusion and just bring all these other different tech house elements together and whatnot. But
for sure,
but you have other stuff going on other than DJing, man. I mean, you're a busy guy. You're like have the floor 919. How's that going, by the way?
Honestly, excellent. I love it. Yeah. It's been a great crew. Right now, it's Marshall and I basically holding things down. Mm-hmm. We've been doing the monthly at Ruby's for about 3 years now. Mm-hmm. We've been doing the monthly before that at, we did Arcana for many years. We did the Fruit Basement before it became Club Era.
That's right.
So this monthly has been happening for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we've had we had some COVID breaks, obviously.
10 years, man.
So
you really got into it. When you said started in 2016, you kind of hit the floor running.
Yeah,
because you were sort of plugged in through the visual, and then and
then once I learned to DJ, I was like, all right, well, off to the races. And then a couple years later, I was like, well, I should learn CDJs now, and then kind of got into that. And then my good friends are in the crew Morning Choir that does a lot of the Fruit shows, so then we started getting booked onto some of those shows and opening for some
shout out
crazy
to
artists.
Morning Choir.
I know,
yes, major shout out.
They have brought a lot of really awesome
stuff
talent
here. I know I've been to some good parties there, and
for sure.
So I didn't know the floor 919 was that established. I didn't even realize that.
It's been a minute. It's got a really cool origin story, I will say. I mentioned a little bit about earlier where some folks that had moved to Durham in the early 2000s, Morgan and Renee, they're coming up from Miami, moved into Durham in the early 2000s and started this party.
We said Morgan, is that Morgan Strider?
Yes, Strider.
Just
Yep.
know him faintly and met him a few times, but I got you just to plug in. Yeah.
Shout out them for just all they've done for me in the scene in a lot of ways. So they had started that party, Shut Up and Dance. They were doing Motoco for a while. Then that grew into another area of doing the Fruit stuff. And then I came in, and then basically the origins of a lot of the floor parties were the Moog Fest after hours.
Moog Fest.
Oh, so dude, that was in Durham for a while.
Yeah.
I wish we
need
kept
to bring that back. Durham City or county, whoever's doing the move, bring back move.
It's got to come back, man.
Those were the glory days for us. So our first big party was like 2016 Moog Fest after hours. It was like we had like Flying Lotus there, Hannibal Buress, like the guys from Survive, like a lot of like in that year Bicep played. So
wow,
I was running visuals.
I didn't know Bicep played that.
Yeah, it was insane.
Man.
That was the first time
I forgot all the talent. Yeah,
that was the first time I was introduced to them. Robert Hood was here that year. Like,
Robert Hood, yeah,
crazy.
Even a friend of mine, his name is Function. He's out in Germany right now, but he was
he
here
played.
Function.
He's sick. I remember his set. That was one of my favorites.
That's my boy from New York.
No shit, that was small world. Look at that.
That was one of my favorite sets.
Dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's out in Germany now with my boy Lenny. Shout out to my boy Lenny and shout out to Function. You guys doing your thing out there in Berlin.
That's wild. You know him. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really I went to go see him actually one night when I was working. I had to go work in Switzerland, and he was playing, and I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna plan my freaking work date for when he's there, because I know he's there that time." And went to go see him in Switzerland. He was like, "Yo, you give me
now had a bad story."
I love it. Such a small world, man. I did his visuals of that show, so I was running his live visuals for that.
Right, and you did a lot of and I've heard you've done some like visuals for some like big names before. I mean, or lighting or something. What was it?
I mean, you run the gamut. I mean, I did like. Yeah, I mean,
John Summit or
hey, here's 3 I want to mention. Fucking Interpol, that's gangster. David Lynch, Stefan Bodzin, shit, man. Just those Bodzin, 3 alone, I'm already.
So Stefan Bodzin was one of my favorite sets that I had done, and that was the Moog Fest 2018. I did his live visuals because I was basically the house visuals guy for the festival. So all the artists would come through. Anyone who didn't have their own touring visuals, I was running. Wow. So I ran Robert Hood, ran like K-Han, like Function, like I mean, you name it, like
so much
over all the years.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even mention, but I just thought seeing Interpol too and David Lynch and
Darude, Paul Van Dyke,
Honey Dijon,
Honey Dijon, Seinfeld, Ellen Alien. Evelyn Emerson,
Christoph, fucking love
some
Christoph.
of those artists in the list on the bio. I was opening for DJ Wise, so some of the artists on that list are visuals that I did, and some of those are direct support DJ slots.
Right.
So I did like direct support for John Summit, Christoph, Shiba-san.
I remember Christoph.
Yeah, and those were all the fruit shows. Frankie Wah, you name it. Yeah, just a lot of folks. So I feel very,
that's a hell of a resume, man.
Very blessed in a lot of ways to have those opportunities. So I really appreciate all the folks that made that happen, and I wouldn't be it without like those opportunities.
Your talent preceded you.
Yeah,
it's true, man, and I think everyone recognizes, not only with your DJing, but your production is your latest production that you've gotten out that we've, her and I have been just kind of falling over because of the whole idea of the Elemental EP. If you haven't heard, but the Elemental EP is one of your latest EPs that you have out, and how that incorporates the 4 elements of water, right? Air, fire, earth. And each song is representative of each, and the digital art that coincides with it is freaking amazing.
Yep. Thank you.
And that was something that we said had a lot of thought put into it.
Yes.
But what's the 5th element?
I know. Well, that's a funny story because the art inspiration was from The Fifth Element, the film,
the movie,
which is an all-time favorite of mine.
I love Luc Besson.
Shout out Luc Besson. That's
La Femme Nikita, son of our
opera woman.
Was it Chris Tucker?
Chris Tucker.
Amazing. Like, perfect performance.
Yeah, he's a badass.
Amazing. But I can't talk about the Elemental EP without shouting out Seance, my collaborator.
Yeah, shout out to Seance.
Sean, Major Ups. Like, we really had a good time on that. And that was one of my first big EP releases. And that was through the label Maison Fauna in Durham. Around COVID time. So that was a interesting time to write that. We actually started writing that EP over Zoom. It was during lockdown. Yeah. So we were kind of remotely collaborating on it, Sean and I. And it grew into being this bigger piece and did the whole concept thing and the art and all that. And I did all the 3D renders and video and designs for that were all my own stuff that I'd made. And a good time.
As I mentioned, I heard the first track on the EP called Aqua, and I just heard it recently. I don't know where it was, and it must have been a random mix that I was listening to on YouTube or someplace. And then she played it for me today. I was like, I heard that song just recently, and then I couldn't just realize this.
Ain't that wild?
Adam's song.
Yeah,
I was like, wait a minute, man. So on Spotify is at least 9,000 listens or something like that. So I know it's pretty popular. That's awesome. I couldn't believe when I looked. I had to look at the name twice. I was like, facesblur and Seance. Like, get out.
It is our guy.
That's my man. Yeah. You've seen him today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm serious, dude. It's crazy.
I forget sometimes. I'm like, I should probably go back and look at that. Oh, 9K. Damn. All right. I guess I should probably start getting back on this tip because that was an interesting thing where I was releasing a lot around that time and then kind of slowed down a bit. I haven't released too much in a while. I've been focusing more on DJing the last few years. And just been picking production back up in the last 9 months or so. I've probably got 4 or 5 IDs right now that I'm sitting on. Nice. Got something coming out in 5 weeks or so with a really good friend of mine out of Asheville, Marley Carroll. Who's one of my mentors and early kind of production.
Sounds familiar. Right?
Friends, and he's incredible. He's out.
Really? Marley, that guy, right?
Yeah, he's out releasing on Engine and Deep right now. He's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah,
he's nice.
Yeah, he's really talented. He's really nice.
Yeah, he sounds like a lovely sound.
Super talented, and he got some good sound.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, he's great. And I've been
Marley Carroll, Marley or Carroll.
Carroll.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna geek on him.
Major shout out to him. He's definitely supported me a lot along the way in my early career stuff, and I've done his visuals for his shows throughout the Southeast. We've gone to Atlanta together. We've done Orange Peel sold out. We've done
Orange Peel's cool venue.
Done shows with him with Emancipator, a lot of different artists. We've done some cool stuff.
That's cool. I know, it's old kind of electronic, but bands,
down tempo electronic stuff.
I like
that organic stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah, so do I. So I like that. He's based out of Asheville.
He's in Asheville, yep.
Oh, okay. I knew he was not in the Triangle area, but I didn't know he was that far out, right?
No, he's great. And so we've got a collab track coming out soon.
Oh, great.
TBD.
Yeah. Great. Look out for it.
That's
definitely, you want to hear that because that dude's pretty talented, and I'm sure you guys are going to join forces and make it crazy. So
we've been cooking. It's going to be good.
Yes. Does he DJ as well? Or?
He does. Yeah, he does, and he's incredible. Started out more of a scratching DJ battle type stuff in his early days.
He's
and,
technical.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And he and I just get along very well. A lot of co-curation, and we just have a lot of fun together. So I'm excited to see what else we can work on in the future.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And we've talked a little bit Asheville and Greensboro too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of these periphery. Oh, well, they're not periphery, but they're just out. So we're kind of focused on that triangle here. But let's not sleep on Greensboro, Asheville.
Definitely. Some of that outsider art vibe. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, you wouldn't really think to go there. Then you can find some really interesting, creative people. Like that Diamonds in the Rough thing. You're like, oh, wait, you're in Greensboro?
Right,
It's a little impressive sometimes. I mean, being from Greensboro in some ways, you got feelings about your hometown
You
and
bet.
whatnot and going back and all this stuff. But really, there's a cool scene developing in Greensboro. There's some cool new DIY venues popping up. And
Yeah.
And there's definitely, I mean, a lot of talent around North Carolina, man. You know, we all know that Charlotte has a big scene. I've been out to shout out to Charlotte, and they have a lot of good parties out there. But
Definitely.
people sleep on the rest of the cities in the Carolinas, man. I mean, here in Raleigh, man, I've come across some incredible talent like yourself, and you mentioning Asheville and Wilmington, even Greensboro. So a lot of shout out to North Carolina for bringing up the talent and stepping your game up, because it's definitely popping out here. And I think also it's getting noticed from other people out of different states.
Yes. Yeah. I think our transplant, Raleigh being a top 5 place to kind of move to for work, and you bring people from all over the country, and I think that eclectic vibe they've seen, it generally kind of maybe raised your IQ a little, possibly, just because when you have all those options from, you're an NYC guy, I mean, big city existence, then come in here, you're probably bringing something that's helpful, generally speaking.
It's true. I mean, I think per capita, like the triangle, and North Carolina in general, there's so much talent. I agree. In general, for being a sort of southern, quote unquote southern state that's maybe a little sleepier. I don't know what you want to call it or whatever. Like mid-Atlantic, we're not really south, in my opinion.
No,
having grown up in Greensboro, like I'm technically a southern boy.
Kind of stuff, but
grew up in Greensboro. People are always like, "You don't have a southern accent. Are you like southern?" Like,
right?
Yeah, Greensboro, born and bred. But like, I don't feel like I identify with that southern drawl stuff. Like, I've got the hospitality. I'll take that. Whatever. I try to be try to be like wear some of those principles in some ways without sort of the extra baggage that comes with the southern identity.
Sure.
So if I'm being candid a little bit.
No, that's a good point.
I'm a transplant, and I've absorbed some of that, hospitality thing as well, man. So, I can't always be, if they say good morning, I'm gonna say good morning back, man. I'm not gonna just,
soften you up.
I'm soft now, man. I'm not gonna look at you crazy. So,
how long you been here now?
I've been here now since 2009.
Okay,
2009. Yeah,
very cool.
We've been here more than 10 years.
How come we didn't cross paths sooner? Was it just because maybe I don't know? Because
I never went out. I didn't think Raleigh had anything to offer. I was like, the hell with Raleigh. I was going to New York every 3 months.
Giant.
No, I'm serious. I was living. I came down here. I was going up to New York like every 3 to 6 months, and I go see my family, come back, go back and forth for a good 4 years.
I just figured you just moved here when I met you, and figured you were here 6 months before. So that's a cool story. I didn't even know about you.
Yeah,
little did you know all along. There's this
scene percolating. Everything was percolating underneath. Everything was percolating. The only place I do remember, I mentioned a long time ago.
It was true underground then, right?
Was Mosaic.
I was about to say,
the only place
talking about Marshall, he was running that.
Shout out, Samad. I know you're in Italy, but thanks for opening a pretty cool bar.
Yes, Mosaic was cool. And there a few times went back in the days and stuff like that. And then never found anything else, kind of dropped out the scene. Then, of course, COVID happened, all that stuff. And after COVID is when I got back into it. But
very cool.
And then I met you.
I know.
That was it.
It was meant to be.
Now we're here.
Love it. Love it. That's all we got here.
So, But yeah, shout out to, Raleigh, shout out to Greensboro, Asheville, Charlotte, Wilmington, all you guys doing your thing, keep doing it. We're going to come and to your city at some point and have you guys. We want to uplift, the North Carolina scene out here and everything. And we have, you guys like yourself that truly have an interesting story, man. I think being so spread out here, people don't get to hear each other. So, this is actually one of the out of this podcast, it was Charlene. She's the one who suggested maybe we should do a podcast, because my idea was to, out of necessity, find out who the heck everybody is, and what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I see DJs, I like them. Like, what's their story? Why are they here? They're probably not even from here. Maybe they're from another state or something like that. What's their background? And that was one of the reasons why. Because originally I was like, well, I want to do like a radio show or something, right?
Yeah.
Do a live stream, whatever, but podcast seemed the right thing, and here we are, and now we're getting everybody's story, and it's an interesting thing.
This is the 2025 radio show. in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Or like the modern format.
The
I mean, this is
modern-
like this has become the
Good point.
inherited the role of the
Exactly.
classic
Yes,
radio
yes.
type storytelling.
Exactly.
And so major props to y'all for putting this together because I think this
Thank
is
you.
what the
Thanks.
scene is missing in a lot of ways. There's so many untold stories, like you said.
Exactly.
And how do we shine a light on some of this stuff and figure out there's more connections and similarities than differences?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we got to work together.
Yes.
There's so much competition and like
I
backbiting and like
I
scene
know.
drama, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And it's like we're all after the same goal.
Yeah.
We're all
Right.
working together. Like, we
Right.
should figure out our connections
Right.
and leverage those versus like trying to like tear each other down. Like I'm
Correct.
not about that. So
It is that simple.
True words, true words
all love.
spoken, man.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly it. And not only, it kind of draws everyone together, right? And people get to know each other a little bit more. We know that they get to know your stories. Like, oh, and maybe the next time they see you out, oh well, they can probably identify you a little bit more, right? Or they can say, well, I know this guy's sound, I know his background.
Yeah, correct.
And
What's he gonna play tonight? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Who's gonna play tonight? Open format.
Yeah, right.
I love learning more.
Is it
just
UK
selfishly.
dubstep or is it deep house?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but, hey.
But you got to meet the moment. It's all about the
Yeah.
show and where you're at. Like
Yeah.
the floor started a new series at Dashi, the ramen spot in Durham.
Right.
So we're working at the izakaya. So the ramen spot in downtown Durham has an izakaya upstairs, which is basically a Japanese pub.
That's a cool image. Your little thumbnails. That's
Shout out Marshall. That's all
badass
Marshall.
Art. Just
That's
that
my
little white.
yeah. That's the homie. Like
for the floor.
Yeah, the izakaya. Just exactly.
Yep.
But just whatever little thumbnail on Instagram.
yeah, no,
and,
thank you. That's all
before
Marshall.
hitting it,
That's
yeah.
all my business partner Marshall.
It's just a cool design. Yeah.
He crushes it with the graphics, so he's doing
Yeah.
all the graphics for the floor, and he's great. And
That's
I've got
cool.
other people saying that too that are like, that's a good look. Yeah, so
Simple and yet
Yeah.
well thought out, and clean.
well, can't take credit at all.
Oh well, no,
but-
we can brag on you
Yeah,
now. We
yeah.
just but on
But all
that
that to say, in some ways, about the izakaya thing is like
Yeah.
for those type of events, playing in a space that's like okay, izakaya, Japanese like, pub, late night or like early in the evening. It's like deep house, minimal, down tempo. We're doing a little more chill stuff. We're usually doing like 115 to 120.
Yes.
The whole night. It's like 7 to 10.
Nice.
It's like
That's
dinner
great.
service, drinks, and it's
That's-
very kind of laid
that's
back and
cool.
relaxing after
I
work
like
kind
that.
of vibe. So you got to meet the moment for the show you're
Yes.
playing, and I feel like
Yes.
I bring what's relevant to the event. So
Of course.
I love playing or like not quote unquote down tempo, but chill, like more chiller, accessible house stuff. So like Crazy P,
Crazy P's so slick.
like that's one of my all-time
Crazy
favorites. And I
P's
play
so
them all the
slick,
time. And
man.
like Miguel Miggs,
Yeah.
making music,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Like the little more sexier deep house type stuff.
Benoit
Like, I
and
love.
Sergio. So
Yeah,
it's
and I just love that
slick.
sound. And
Yeah.
so all for like the izakaya sessions we're doing, we just did our first one a couple weeks ago. We're doing our next one on the 15th of August.
That's
and,
intriguing.
I love bringing that energy to that kind of event, and it's like interesting to have a creative constraint.
Right.
It's
Yes.
like this is a cool container or box to put this vibe in.
What's the night briefly on that? So
That is Friday, August 15th.
Okay, so it's semi-frequent at this point, or it's at least an individual, maybe with
Every
playback.
third Friday, yeah. So
Okay.
every third Friday. And it's actually streaming on Dance Group Radio.
Oh, is it?
so
Cool, cool.
Marshall's
Okay.
station will be streaming on that. And we've
Got
got
it.
3 lined up. So we did July, we're doing August and September also.
Nice.
So pretty excited about that. But like I mentioned, like meeting the moment, it's like you've got the sets with like Lex at the Fruit playing the hard techno stuff. And
Yes.
like, I love bringing the heat and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then also being able to like
Switch
hold
it
your
up.
fire, switch it
course.
up, chill out a little bit. So
You bet.
I don't know. I do a lot of different sounds.
Yes.
So
Well, it keeps your brain. I mean, I think you are on such a quest for, you will be in an insatiable quest for just knowledge and hobbies. And that's neat to hear people that are that passionate about, and they just want to be good at a lot of stuff. But you have to kind of have that passion and desire. And
yeah,
So-
the drive is there. I wish I just got more sleep in general, but you know,
right.
Where do you like to play more, in Raleigh or in Durham?
Great question. I think Durham takes it for me in a lot of ways. I really enjoy the crowds in Durham in some sense, where I feel like they're a little more open to following you on a journey, or if you're trying to like tell a story or kind of traverse a couple genres or like kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're a little more tolerant of some of that exploration
Yeah.
that I've seen.
I agree.
And I appreciate that in some ways. As
That is
like
nice.
I've said earlier, like I can be a little eclectic sometimes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
them being open to that, but also I don't know, the flexibilities I enjoy. But also there's a great like personality to the crowds and the scene and the culture in Durham that I really enjoy. A little grittier maybe and a little more diverse in some ways. So
sure.
no hate to Raleigh. It's just not maybe
no.
my favorite place to play. So,
Yeah.
so.
And I know that there are some guys out in Durham who've already been facilitating stuff like that. So shout out to Party Illegal. I know
Yes.
Party Illegal with Blends with Friends.
Yep.
And those guys over there.
Love
I
all those guys. Yeah, Patrick's an old friend of mine. I love Patrick.
I know you've done shout out to Patrick, Tree City, shout out to Matt, but you guys I know we've been done some stuff together even, right? I mean,
we've collaborated on some parties together.
Yeah.
We had a little offshoot party off of the Blends with Friends brand we did for 2 years at the Fruit Basement called Below Decks.
Below Decks?
Yeah, and that was a cool party series we did for a little while. And we had this interesting concept with it where, with Blends with Friends, we're kind of like trying to bring people into the scene in terms of learning to DJ or like onboarding new DJs and kind of getting them up to speed of like, here's like a on-ramp to like, you can come learn to DJ on the fly at the Blends with Friends and like, we'll elevate you and try to teach you in real time at the event, low pressure kind of thing, like learning to get behind the decks and be technical.
Sure.
The concept we kind of had with the Below Decks thing was like, what's that next step beyond just the on-ramp? Like, where do you go that's like the middle piece between like big shows?
Yeah.
Like getting landed your gig for an opening
Well
gig,
said.
but like how do you fit the beginning of like getting into DJing and then playing a show at the Fruit or something?
Right.
Where's that middle ground? Where's that middle piece? And so that was the kind of concept we had with the Below Decks was like, oh, you graduate from Blends with Friends. We'll book you, come play Below Decks. Then you can get some media, you get some photos taken, you get a recording, you get something, and then you use that to leverage to like get more bookings and like grow the scene more. So it's all about just giving back to the scene, growing the scene a little bit, and like getting more people involved and like finding ways to get people up to speed and like really bring them in and give them show opportunities for shows that they might not get elsewhere, you know, kind of thing. So.
And that's great. That's just a great concept.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, what a great vision. It proves you're thinking ahead, and obviously you think whimsically on the fly and do sets on it, but that's a little premeditation in the art and delivery that's classic you too.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we just want to help the scene. That's all it comes down to.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's a great piece of Durham history that you guys are receiving right now. You're learning about the history of the party scene with the Floor 919.
Yes.
You're listening about the history of Blends with Friends. I didn't even realize that was the whole concept, because they do the party now, but the Below the Decks is not happening anymore.
Not anymore. We're kind of put on hiatus. Patrick we've been kicking around maybe resurrecting it at some point, but there's some talks happening. We'll see how it goes.
Speaking about
maybe different venue. Yeah, different venue.
And shout out to those guys, because they gave me a chance too when I they do the competitions and stuff like that. So I went one night. That's the night. That's the competition that Poetic Note had won, and then I was the support for that night and stuff like that.
The Blender series.
The Blender series.
Yeah,
the Blender series.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Huh? The Pinhook. I'm sorry. Shout out to the Pinhook.
Oh yeah,
right.
Pinhook. Yeah.
So and these guys, played their set. They loved it. They put me on the lineup, and that was that. And shout out. And that was just and this was maybe the first night I played for them, and at the Pinhook. But those guys are doing great things. Shout out to those guys. I always go see them and support them at the Pinhook when I can. Actually, they're going to be going tonight. Ethan's going to be going tonight. Shout out to Ethan Redwild. Nice. He's going to be going tonight. He invited me. He's like, I'm going to go out to Pinhook and check it out or whatever. So cool. I think they're having one of their competitions is going to be winding up soon or something
coming
like that.
Coming up soon.
Yeah. But I know you're affiliated with those guys, and that's the Durham scene, man. I think and we had one of our guests here last week who gave us the rundown, the whole Raleigh history, right? And how that came about, right? And he was just telling us the whole thing, how it started back then for him and what he remembers and stuff like that. So it's an interesting contrast to hear, how the Durham scene has come into into existence.
There's a lot of these oral histories that don't get written down or told. And
Exactly.
it's all like we're just having to talk it out because like these things don't get written down.
Exactly.
It's
now it's recorded here in the Vinyl on the Ground. And it's going to be here forever, and we can look back and say, look, man, this is how it went down. These guys, and that's what I like about Durham as well, man. There's a lot of community-based people that are just like No Visa. Shout out to No Visa and those guys. Shout out to all the other groups that are doing stuff out there.
Yeah, there's a lot. I love the diversity of all the different crews and like what they bring in terms of genre stylings and stuff like that. Like you've got some of the world stuff going on with some of the No Visa stuff, like world influence or like on piano and like they're bringing in lots of different sounds. Like,
Different
it's
sounds.
all over. But I love that.
Yeah.
And then and then we've got like Gemini and like House of Black and a lot of those series that they're doing, and there's just a lot of really cool different stuff happening. And
That
I
is
appreciate
nice,
that.
man.
What's the other one that came out recently? Black Power Social Club or something like that?
Yeah. Sean Tucker and his business partner, they're doing that. It's endless. I'm trying to think of like there's a lot of
ad nauseum.
there's a lot of crews.
Decidus.
Deciduous.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
So
Deciduous,
Deciduous. That's sort of my understanding is that's sort of like a affiliated brand of Morning Choir. kind of like an offshoot. And you know, can't speak for them obviously in a lot of ways, but I've seen, from what I've seen, at least with those parties, it's almost like a they're doing maybe more of a like a less top talent, or like less like main room talent, or they're trying to bring in maybe like a more emerging artist type thing. It seems to be more of like that type of series, where instead of doing like the big morning choir show with like you know, someone like Darude or Shiba-san or something, it's like, who are the more emerging artists that are maybe in that sort of middle tier?
That's important.
And it's sort of like, that's a label, sort of brand party series label that they're kind of putting on that. But obviously can't speak for them totally on that. But that's been my understanding from what I've seen of it. And I love that. I mean, the Floor collaborated with them on one of those parties last year, bringing LSD XOX, who's a really cool sort of forward-thinking, like Jersey club type artist. So they brought some cool artists in that realm, like Conducta, some UKG stuff they brought with Deciduous, and I'm trying to think who else they brought recently. But yeah, it's a cool party series. I guess Hiroko was Deciduous. That was Deciduous too. Yeah. So it's sort of like a offshoot of what
got it. I didn't realize that. Right.
I don't realize that I have this
we're learning
math in my brain. I'm like, it's just how I view it. Obviously, just what I've seen. But it's cool. I love chatting about it. So
you're in the mix.
Teaching history does.
Literally, you're in the mix.
Yeah. You really are.
I can't even claim much of the history where it's like I started where the people that our forefathers left off. It's like, I say forefathers loosely, but like the people that built the scene before me.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I come in like 2016. I'm just some new jack kid. Like I learned to DJ and had a good time, but like I don't claim to be an authority on anything. It's like there's so many people that paved the way before me. So shout out to everyone who
I know,
like came before us. Like the Power. What was it? There's a club in Durham in the 80s called the Power Station. No, the Power. What is it?
I don't know.
It was basically where Teasers is now. It used to be a 3-story club in the 80s. And then there was another club called Ringside. And there was a couple other ones that were big back in the day in Durham that were really big. The Power Company was the name.
Power Company.
Yeah. And it was a 3-story club in downtown Durham. It was like
3-story club.
It was like throughout the 80s, like, and it was the big rave scene thing.
Yeah.
And it was like really cool. And
so like now the Underground in Cameron Village, which was more alternative bands, but they fucking so many great people played right below Cameron Village.
I've heard tale of that.
Yeah,
really cool.
I don't know about anything electronic, but it was a badass kind of. It's a shame there's not something that still exists for that for alternative bands.
So there's a lot of history in Durham for the rave stuff and the electronic stuff, and so I can't claim to be any kind of progenitor on this stuff. Like blazing a path, but it has been fun in the last 10 years to do what we've done in Durham, and of course. But the Floor did kind of grow out of those Moogfest after hour parties, where when we first started out, it was like before the Fruit had kind of become official. It was still a little more of a legal type rave type thing, and so we were kind of putting our necks out there and growing that, but doing the official after party for Moogfest when it happened. And we did 2016, 17, 18, and we kept doing those afters and building that out. And that was kind of how we kind of cut our teeth in those early days, and that grew into a monthly kind of thing. But that was sort of our big first like hurrah. And we had a lot of those bigger artists and talent that came to Moogfest would come to our afters and hang out and stuff. And that was always pretty cool to see the different crowd you'd see in there, and like hanging out with like Flying Lotus and his visuals guy in the green room and hanging out and like walking down. I just remember one crazy memory, just like walking down the hallway at the Fruit before it was all done up and stuff. And I passed like Hannibal Buress, like walks past you and just like, is that? Oh, that's that dude, the comedian, you know? And I was like, okay, like pretty cool dude. Cool dude. So I don't know, it's been an interesting time. In this scene,
and it's just crazy. It's crazy because little Durham, right? I mean, it's not a big city,
right?
But it has a lot to offer. I think. We live in Durham, and we any chance we get to pop over there and do our thing. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
I know there's something coming up soon. I don't know by the time the show comes out this month at the Fruit. Shout out to my boy Steve James. He's gonna be supporting
Sultan Shepherd.
Sultan Shepherd.
Sultan Shepherd's great.
And Poetic Notes on that too.
I think so. I'm not sure.
I think so. I'd heard that.
I know Steve James is gonna be.
Maybe I'm leaking information. I shouldn't. I know he's on it for sure, which I'm excited about. And I heard maybe also Buridan might be on there too. So.
I think it's Buridan.
Pretty stacked lineup. If you ask me, that's a pretty stacked local talent. So.
Yep, Sultan Shepherd and. Shout out to those guys, and they're going to be over there at the Fruit this month. So they bring pretty good stuff, pretty good talent, man. And,
what's Sultan Shepherd? They Tribes of and Andrew Deep. I'm trying to think of some. It just reminds me of them. I've got. I don't know. I think I've 5 or 6 of their tracks, or just have them on playlists. I'll say, but it's good sound, man. Yeah,
I've heard good things.
Kind of deeper, tribally. I don't know.
That's what I'd heard too.
Anatolianish mixed with whatever Tullumish. I don't know. Some, but slightly lower beats per minute. And,
I'm into it.
Good stuff. Yeah.
there is talk of the floor doing like a pre-party hang thing before that, which I'm excited about. We might do, we are doing a thing at Ponysaurus, actually.
Oh, nice.
Prior to that event.
That's a walk away, too.
Yeah,
You can almost,
so-
if you're speaking fruit.
Yep, exactly. That's part of
demographics,
the idea is that hopefully we'll be able to kind of bridge that corridor there and do like an early thing. So like 7 and 10.
Pre-parties that way.
So Marshall and I.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Spinning out there.
Right on.
That's one thing that Durham definitely needs is it needs to connect these little spots together so that, you know, people can walk from one place to another and not feel like they're walking through some dark back road and
Murder alley.
Yeah, you know, it's like, okay, it's disconnected.
The gentrification slowly continues.
Yeah. It's like the food has apartment buildings around it now and stuff like that. But to get anywhere else, you kind of, down the street, like where Fizz works and all those places, I mean,
that's built up a little bit now.
That's built up.
But it used to be that whole area. Yeah, it was not.
It was pretty creepy.
I got some good Durham stories from the late 90s. Oh, boy.
I mean, when we got down here 2009, man, Durham was not the place to walk through or go to.
I think it was a top 10 murder capital per capita at one point. Like, it was rivaling St. Louis.
That was before I got here. I was living in Chapel Hill at the time.
But that grit's still there. And again, kind of ways that I think we all find drives are, you know, kind of like a Detroit, but a little micro Detroit. But it's kind of like artists move here and creative minds, and
it draws people.
Makes it a little cooler. Like we've kind of talked about.
Like
we love Raleigh,
Brooklynish feel that we have.
Durham's,
come back from home and stuff. We kind of related to Brooklyn and
like
Raleigh to Manhattan.
Correct.
I've heard that analogy before too.
You know,
and also hear that about like Oakland and San Francisco kind of thing.
There you go.
Good point. That's it. That's a great.
And then you get there's what Chapel Hill and Carborough is like the really liberal small town with the colleges out there.
Is it Carborough, Pittsburgh?
Wait. Out in the Bay Area out there.
Oh, in the Bay Area.
What is that little? Anyway, there's some analogy there. There's
I know what you're saying.
The big grit city, and then like anyway.
Right.
Well,
you need both.
Silicon Valley now.
Anyway, I shouldn't talk about things I don't know. About.
No, that's fine. But that's cool.
We all just didn't figure it out as a team.
I know what you're talking about. Just the name just comes to my head.
We'll come back when I'm not on camera. So
right.
But Durham. Durham is we can talk about Durham like all night.
Oh, for sure.
I know. But that's why we also are glad you're here because we've pumped up we've had a lot of Raleigh. Well, we kind of crossover really everybody we had, but some are more Raleigh.
We've had a few guests here. You know,
as far as residents.
Yeah, we had like one representing Raleigh, and the other ones like we had Connecticut on there. Shout out Connecticut.
Yeah,
you know, they started out in
they
Durham
kind of bridged both gaps.
Those are great folks.
With their
Abyss party in the basement. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
Pre-basement area.
And you know, we've I've come across to meet a lot of the guys over in Durham as well, like the guys from the Fruit, like Ian and people over there.
Great folks. I like Ian a lot.
I know,
and you know, I got to meet those guys, but it's been fun. And I think you know, right now with the scene, a lot of new talent coming on board.
For sure.
We see him at Blends with Friends. Shout out to those all the new DJs that are popping up on the scene.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, because everyone has something to offer.
Definitely.
Wild.
And there's a lot of folks coming on, man. And I know you seen. I just saw you at the Blends with Friends maybe like last month or a couple of months ago when I invited you to the show and stuff, right?
That was where we
just hanging out.
That's cool.
I like to pop in. I mean, it's like, you know, it's not just for people that are new or whatever.
Yeah. We're standing on the other sides of the deck plenty.
Just to go out and you know, chill, and it's a good vibe. You know, people are coming to their playing this. They'll do a vinyl night too, which is pretty cool.
That is really cool. That's someday I'll get there.
Those are fun.
They'll do like an all vinyl night, and I think they even had like it was like an all vinyl night. And then I know that those are the party legal guys, but also I know they're doing stuff at the Velvet Hippo.
Yes, the disco thing with Lex they're doing.
The disco night out there and stuff like that. And but there's other parties that are happening around Durham that are pretty cool.
There's no shortage of it. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. So but you know, man, gotta give love to our other peeps.
Yeah, I mean it's so nice. We're kind of getting more and more saturated. There's great house parties, man. Or I could see you at one, and we stay up till 6, and Adam's playing over here. I'm like, this is like talk about intimate, right?
Yeah,
that's
not just a small club, but
I mean, those are my favorite.
40 people in it. That's fucking.
I mean, those are my favorite environments to play in. Honestly,
small intimate.
Small intimate, or just like the afters, the late night. Like I joke sometimes, it's like afters is my natural habitat. Like I enjoy the house party. like it's just like there's a place and time for the club and the big stage
Correct.
and all that stuff
Correct.
and like the production.
Right.
But I thoroughly enjoy the intimate late night hangout. Like that's where the connections are made.
They
that's
really
where
are.
The bonds are formed.
I remember those stronger.
Have
than,
a conversation, get in depth,
Correct.
learn someone's soul, like really connect at a deeper level where you don't get that in the club in a lot of ways.
No.
And so I enjoy that kind of intimate setting, but also just playing late night too, where you can get a little weird with it, be experimental, and then also just go be to be with some random folks, you know, like and enjoy like talking about music and just connecting. And I don't know, I really enjoy that environment a lot. And
So do I. Concur. And that's definitely my cup of tea right there when it comes to that late night after hours scene and stuff like that. I mean, I just remember, you know, being in that environment. You know, I would just go out in New York. If I was in New York and just end up at a place 4:30 in the morning or something like that, and or not even go out. I would go out like at 6 in the morning, go party and stuff like that, and then still be a place of crowd, you know, on a Sunday morning, and it's like packed in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's definitely
something special there.
Definitely a different vibe.
It is, and it's got its place. Like that's where I fell in love with electro and breakbeat was the late nights and talking to my friends who were into a lot more experimental stuff and like hearing that stuff in different environments that were outside the club and just experimenting with those sounds, being like, wait a minute, is this what electro is? Is this Detroit? Is this like all that sound? I was like, I really kind of like this, and how can I incorporate that in a techno set or other thing? And finding ways to weave those worlds together with the more experimental and like the more club focused stuff.
Of course,
so that's where I kind of got to know all that stuff. So.
Totally agree with you, man. Those are special memories.
Tell us a little about your artwork, man. I know that I spoke earlier about your artwork, and you know where you at with that now. What was your influences and everything? You know.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see. So I mentioned this kind of early on, like my intro stuff, but I've got an interesting visual history of starting out with graphic design, 2D design, was where I kind of came up in like high school times doing like Photoshop and like commercial art type stuff.
Mention it.
Collage and Photoshop and like designing things, laying it out, product design type stuff. Then grew into photography and videography.
Right.
Then kind of fell in love with video work, video editing, cutting video, like more photojournalistic stuff, journalistic video work and like cutting like little like kind of newsreels and stuff together for like the Daily Tar Heel when I was at Carolina. I would do a lot of that kind of stuff, like photojournalist stuff. But then I got into experimental video, took a bunch of courses in filmmaking and experimental film design and stuff like that, and started making like ambient films and experimental films and studying that stuff. And there's a very interesting history there with all that stuff, like the Holy Mountain, like Jodorowsky, like that very and like there's a film called Daisies, like 60s Czech films and stuff. They're like super feminist, communist, like very progressive stuff. That film got banned in all these Soviet countries and stuff.
Get out!
Yeah, and fell in love with this like just really kind of out there video stuff. And that kind of parlayed itself into doing the VJing and the projection mapping and the collaging video together for a live band and stuff. Right. So I was working with like indie rock bands in Chapel Hill in like 05, 06, 07, 08.
That is.
So like 05 to 2010, I was doing like Local 506, like Future Islands, like indie rock bands cutting together videos live and doing projection mapping with like all these rudimentary tools and like taking my video editing work and doing it live and projection mapping it on like bands and stuff. Nice. And that started growing into going to places like the Nightlight in Chapel Hill, which is like one of my favorite venues back in the day. Very small underground vibe. Yeah. And I would go do these experimental ambient sets and do visuals for like these ambient and like kind of ambient techno, dub techno stuff. Yeah. And that was like 2012, 2013, 14 maybe. And then right after that kind of got into the club stuff and then was doing more projection mapping and stuff. But all throughout that time, I was just doing 2D design, like basic still images stuff, but then really got a fondness for video. And that's where I started just doing tons of video work and animation, like After Effects, creating just really kind of strange, trippy, like
it's awesome. It's
mandala
like
stuff like that.
Little DMT vibes.
Yeah. And so I've really grown that out to be more stuff of just like now doing generative art and using some AI tools, AI-driven stuff, and like putting a lot of ingredients in the pot and letting the computer kind of do its thing, and then let it kind of spit out some cool stuff. So I'll generate a lot of cool still images that are kind of like fantasy art stuff. But I'll put them all in this like software I use with like Python coding. So I'm doing like Python scripting. And then I'll kind of put it all in and then link all these nodes together and tell it to like read all these different images, and then it interprets all that and spits out these like very trippy like psychedelic animations, which is on my Instagram.
Yeah, all those. It's almost like you see the warm lit house.
Yes, I love it. I love
Asian and Turkey, whatever. But then it just kind of fuses.
We have a few listed here. You did like one called Glass Temple, another one Desert Magic,
I love
one
those.
called Amethyst Botanical.
I checked them all out. They're
Gold
neat.
Terrain was one of my favorite ones. It was just like these gold terrains just going like this and whatnot.
It doesn't take from the music.
It's awesome.
That's tricky with the video sometimes, because sometimes I just want to close my eyes, but every now and then. But when you combine the way you have, it's like the two together. Some of the parts makes a better whole.
Restraint's important for a lot of this.
Yeah.
And I actually forgot
It's not
part
distracting.
of my... Yeah, you got to really
It's
compliment the music without taking too much away.
Symbiotic in a way and all that.
And I forget that part of my story here that I've kind of left out, which is like my more recent history. Prior to my current day job I'm doing, I was doing live visuals and VJ work for big bass artists and like EDM artists in the North and South Carolina scene for 4 or 5 years as a profession.
Really?
So I was building LED walls. I was doing mapping of LED shows and stuff.
I've heard about that.
Or a lot of different stuff. All the like Disco Donnie shows, all the Sugar Society stuff.
This is what I knew. I knew there was something missing.
And that's the missing piece.
Because
and I keep
I know you've done something kind of bigger than what you were discussing earlier. This is what I wanted to kind of get back to.
And I've talked more about my early days, like the early Chapel Hill. So that's where I kind of started out. But then I was working for a production company called Life is Art out in Raleigh. Shout out Soup and Tebow for bringing me on. So around 2018, I signed on with them. I was doing animation, like 3D renderings, like Cinema 4D, Blender, stuff like that, creating 3D animation stuff, and then building content for tours and other artists. So I worked with folks from like Subtronics, Liquid Stranger, Audion, like bigger EDM type artists, so like Two Friends, Matoma, like Tropical House stuff, and I was building content packages and LED walls for their tours. Build the tours out, and I would deploy the tour and kind of send them out, and I would basically stay back and just work in the studio and stuff. But I was also doing local shows around the same time and just going out and VJing for the production company as like the house VJ for a lot of these bigger shows. So I did like the Digital Gardens down in Charlotte. We had like Mr. Carmack, like E-Prom, Troy Boy, like these bigger kind of bass music, trappier stuff. And this was basically my day job for a long time. Boogie T, like you name it, like Sullivan King. These are like just again like the more top billing like bass type artists. And so that was more of my like day job for a while. And I got a little desensitized to some of that stuff over that time. And I was still DJing and stuff in my free time after that. So it was kind of challenging sometimes of like you go to your day job in the club doing bass music all the time, and then to kind of pivot and like on the weekends go do your own shows and be a quote unquote promoter and DJ for your own thing. And it's like, 30 people in a basement bar. Then you go out and you're VJing for like 800 kids at the Black Box in Charlotte. We did like, G Jones, like stuff like that, like bigger shows down there, maybe thousands of people sometimes, and like festivals and stuff. So very interesting to see those like dichotomy. And so I got an interesting like firsthand view of a lot of the entertainment industry stuff around that. And I did like corporate video too for a while. I was doing like GlaxoSmithKline, Lenovo, IBM. And I was doing video walls for their corporate like sales events and stuff. So like during COVID, they would have to like farm out their sales calls and stuff. They wouldn't bring everyone out for a sales like conference. So they would have these like high-end studios where they would like phone in everyone with like Zoom calls and stuff. So I would build LED walls in these like fancy like live video studios. And we would Skype in people. We had all these video tech engineers and stuff. And like I was in charge of doing the video over IP, like all the local networking, building all the video walls, Skyping people in, and like working with a team of like 20 people on like a video crew.
That's big project. It's amazing.
It's scaled from doing just smaller EDM artists to like getting to a corporate video level. Did stuff for like Duke Health, like a lot of different people.
Were you doing just contracting, or were you just?
I was full time with that production company at the time. I did some contract work around that time too, and then later after I kind of pivoted away from Life is Art and started working more in tech at that point, I did some one-off contract work with them. Like I went down to Miami for a one-off gig, which was really cool for an Afrobeats festival in Miami at the Mariner Stadium, or the big stadium down there. And this was all on piano, Afrobeat, stuff like that. And I ran the on piano stage for like 2 days. Outside the MLB stadium.
Pretty neat.
Amazing. All the biggest names of like the on piano scene and all that. Like I was working with all of them, doing all visuals all weekend.
That had to be a fun
incredible.
party.
Like, and I never heard much of that genre.
Fun
and
people,
I got to know it and was like so obsessed. Like for the next 6 months, I was like, I can't stop listening to on
piano.
piano.
People really dance, man. Keep their phones down. And
a huge party.
That's big. That's pretty big. Especially Miami's a huge scene as well, man. And we have those festivals out there. They're gonna.
And you get that international flavor that's special there. Yeah,
it was really cool. I feel very fortunate to have a lot of those experiences. So I've ran the gamut on that. And I kind of it's funny I never really got to this part of my story, but that was a good 5-year chunk. And then I basically pivoted away from that into tech now. And now I do like tech work. So so it's interesting.
I mean,
if one thing ever tanks, you can still get paid in a lot of areas.
I feel lucky. I mean, I still contract out on visual work, so I'm still available for hire. Like I'll go do one-offs. I've done some stuff with like Rabbit Hole, those guys, and some projection mapping work, and some other folks. So I mean, I'm a hired gun. If anyone needs visuals, I'm down to help out. Or lighting or lasers, I do all that stuff too. So I kind of yeah, I've got a lot of fun skills and stuff I've done in the past. So
that's awesome.
So it's cool to leverage that stuff.
And definitely, and you're probably like the only guy in the whole triangle who probably can do this.
I mean,
anyway,
his,
man,
his
that I
journey
know of. Anyway,
and enjoy it, and like
You know what I'm
this
saying?
It's a very
I'm
niche set of
jealous.
skills.
It has to be very niche.
It's pretty niche.
You went to school and learned shit too, not just the hand, right? I mean, like when you say you took this, I look back on college, and of course I remember a lot of things, but it didn't end up translating to practical anything in corporate or other things I've done. But you actually were learning good shit that was hands on.
It worked out,
and then you stuck with it and made it your profession. So
it's kind of wild. I didn't think it would actually happen, but it did.
Yeah.
Media production's always been a fun thing for me, and I mean,
Graphic
media
design.
production in any way, it's like fun. Like the visuals, the music, all of it. It's all connected in some ways. I mean, it's all expression
in
stuff.
some capacity.
So
for various things.
It's a good time.
We're novices.
But one of my favorite visual things I'd ever done was was it middle of COVID? Might have been right after that. I got a call to work with David Lynch and Interpol.
Yeah, I want to ask
The
about
band
that because
Interpol.
I told you I've seen Interpol like 4
It
times.
was insane,
and
and they're one of my-
is one of the most famous.
Well, Interpol's one of my all-time favorite
Aren't
bands.
they
So they
great?
up there. So they were basically the interesting stories. They were doing a collaboration between David Lynch and Interpol, the band. So they had met up on some shows and were basically
This is
like,
like circa 2017.
This
16 or
was
something, or-
maybe 2020 actually, 2021.
Oh, you were- yeah, kinda, yeah. Cool.
So basically they had done a collaboration with David Lynch where they had his short films that he had done, and then they scored them. And they're little 15-second loops.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to release a series of NFTs
Yep.
of the little animations with Interpol's music.
Yes.
So I basically assembled and built these 3D renderings with David Lynch's videos and their audio in like a world. So I was creating these 3D animations with David Lynch's material, Interpol's material,
Nice.
and then made them into these 3D rendered looping animations that were probably like 20 seconds each. But I made like 20 of them, and then they were released on Super Rare, which is like a big Ethereum NFT marketplace, and like went for ungodly sums of money and stuff, and it had my name kind of attached. So it was pretty cool. But that was just through an old friend of mine who out in the Bay Area who worked at a marketing firm that was like peered up with Interpol and them, and they kind of just were like, hey, I might know a guy who does some 3D stuff.
That's cool.
And it's funny because the
What
way
a break.
the way I made that connection was like my friend from kindergarten just happened to be dating the guy who was working with the firm, and they kind of all came together. So I felt very lucky. And then more recently I did some work with Snoop Dogg with them. So I did some 3D assets I designed for the Snoop Dogg's launch of his new website.
Oh wow!
So I was doing some 3D design, like 3D modeling and like painting models and stuff for their web experience. So
that's so neat.
So that was more. I got to add that one to the CV, I guess.
Yeah. There you go. Add it to the CV.
Show off.
Hey,
that's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's that's quite a resume, and it's interesting just to hear because people see you DJing like, well, they don't know what else you
really
done.
don't, man.
I've done work with some big names, and I've just learned that recently. I mean, not too recently, but just not too far back. But it's interesting to know because gosh, we have this talent right here in the triangle, man.
So cool, Adam.
You don't have to go far.
It's like this guy's here. We if you need a lighting or visual graphics or something, guy, look up my man Adam.
IQ 145. If I was wagering Vegas odds, he's on another level, guys. We're not worthy.
Thank you.
You can do some DevOps stuff if you want.
Right.
Yeah. It's like DevOps by day, DJ by night. That's like what I kind of say right now. So it's a good time.
And I was about to say, so as far as technology, you're in the triangle. That's what you're working, or you work remotely?
Yeah, down in RTP. Yeah, but I'm technically remote, but they're based in RTP.
Yeah.
So I'm not too far, and I can go to the office like one day a month if I want and hang out. But I like working from home. It's not bad. I kind of like the flexibility. So.
That is nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, DevOps is kind of I dabble a little in DevOps at my job, but that's a pretty big operation for developers, especially if you have a big, huge.
It is. Yeah, we got to keep the fires burning, keep the lights on, make sure everything's running smooth. It's a lot. But I enjoy having the technical hobbies and technical day job, and kind of it's all technical at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so these skills translate a lot.
Exactly.
That's kind of how I got into the DevOps stuff, was doing the AI Python visuals and building Linux servers in my free time, and having fun building applications and things with different coding languages that I developed. And then basically was offered this insane opportunity of like, hey, do you want to come work in the site reliability world? And I was kind of working in more technical documentation and video editing for training materials. And they were like, yeah, we see like you got some Linux skills and this stuff. You want to come over and like work in the engineering world? And that was basically a year and a half ago. And I basically changed my whole career into engineering and DevOps. And that was basically how I kind of got a little break there. And it was kind of insane. I really enjoyed it. So it's a new career path for me at my age, so it's good.
Does that also kind of buy? I mean, that's a step up, right? When we talk pay and everything,
From where I
so
was,
that
yeah.
buys some freedom even to
It
do
does.
more artistic things,
It
right?
does.
Because
It
now you
does.
kind of have that cushion to
Exactly.
play, maybe.
Exactly.
And
it
maybe
really
even
helps.
one day what you're playing with, it becomes the gig because you've done well enough to keep growing. I don't know.
That's the hope. Yeah.
That's-
But
yeah.
it definitely frees up some of my energy in finances and stuff like that
Yeah.
to allow me to maybe focus more on my creative stuff when I'm off work, or
Correct,
like have a
correct.
clear boundary of like, okay, now I can really not worry about work and feel comfortable outside of that. and
Right.
flourish as
That's
a
nice. You've worked hard,
visual
man.
artist, so-
That's that, and again, it's also kind of cool. You're about it too, and you enjoy it. Like that's a rare thing, I think.
I mean, I feel very fortunate. So
Yeah.
thank you.
You
Yeah.
should.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show,
Thank
telling us your story, giving us a little history about yourself and about Durham, stuff that I didn't even know, and I'm sure you learned. Some
I
stuff
mean,
too,
I'm blown
Tim,
away.
right?
But yeah,
I mean, and
fanboy.
yeah,
Oh, man.
we definitely appreciate
That's awesome,
telling us about your history and your art and the music you got out.
Really
Check out
cool.
his Elemental EP if you haven't already on Spotify, wherever they stream music, because this guy got some good stuff. He got some great digital art. Check him out on Instagram on the
Faces Blur. Yep.
Faces
Yeah.
Blur.
Yeah.
Check out the SoundCloud page,
Yep.
which is
That's the Faces Blur also.
Faces Blur as
Across
well.
all platforms. That's
and if
fine.
you're in
I know
Durham,
you're just your image when you Google. I love it. You got
Yeah.
the little symbol as
Yep. You got the one brand to rule them all.
Vimeo,
So lucky, yeah.
everything. It was
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
Vimeo, that's
Yeah,
right.
I went
If
down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
you're in Durham, come check out his Floor 919 party,
Yeah.
right? Because that's banging. It's either at Arcana, you guys have
Yep.
have it in Ruby's installation. You got the installation.
Do have a set with installation out.
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
the Visual Canopy
Yeah,
guys.
he's
those,
great.
Those are my
Yeah,
boys. I love
those
them to
guys.
death.
Yep.
And yeah, man, you're a man around town, so I'm sure everyone to catch him out. Any last words, man, you want to put out there and say?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I think ultimately we're all in this together. We got to look out for each other, and it's all love. I mean, I know it sounds kind of cheesy in some ways, but like the scene and the movement that we're a part of is not too important to not really look out for each other. And I mean, we shouldn't be fighting against each other. We should all be working towards a common goal and work together. And I'm all about like collaboration, not competition. So I'd say let's all build. Let's get something going and make some magic happen. So.
I agree.
That's awesome.
This is our premise right here at the Vinyl Underground, where beats meet community.
Yeah,
Love it. All about that.
Indeed,
Love
it
it.
is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, man, thank you. We'll wrap it up.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you having
And
me. It's awesome.
With that, I'll say, Joe, bring that beat back.
Thanks for listening to the Vinyl Underground. If you love the vibe, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share. Want to support the scene? Follow us on Instagram at CrowdControlNC and at the Vinyl Underground Podcast and at Tony Technique. Stay underground and we'll catch you next time on the Vinyl Underground.